In today's episode, we'll delve into an everyday neighborhood where the friendships were far from typical. We'll uncover the story of a stay-at-home mom whose life became entangled in a complex web of secrets, hidden desires, and betrayal, leading to her tragic and untimely death. Tina Bowland, a 42-year-old stay-at-home mom from Rio Rancho, New Mexico, was a familiar and beloved figure in her community. Known for her friendly and outgoing nature, Tina was always ready to assist others. She was the type of neighbor who remembered birthdays, organized neighborhood gatherings, and eagerly volunteered at her children's school events. Tina lived with her husband, Michael Bowland, a 46-year-old insurance agent, and their two teenage children, aged 16 and 15. In April 2014, Tina was very active in the community. She was frequently spotted driving her children to their activities in her blue Honda Odyssey and often made a stop at the local Starbucks for a caramel macchiato. Tina was also actively involved in her church, organizing charity drives and bake sales. However, there was a side to her life that remained hidden from most. Behind her image as a dedicated wife and mother, Tina was secretly engaged in a series of romantic relationships with women in her community. These relationships were concealed from her family and many of her friends. Within this secretive circle, Tina was a central figure, involved in passionate affairs with about half a dozen other stay-at-home moms in the neighborhood. These encounters provided her with a sense of excitement and freedom that was missing from her otherwise routine suburban life. In the days before her death, Tina was especially thrilled about her new relationship with Hope Johnson, a 45-year-old woman who had recently moved into the neighborhood. Tina's friends noticed she appeared unusually joyful, but they were unaware of the hidden life she was leading. This concealed world of desire and jealousy was on the verge of triggering a tragedy that would stun the entire community. On the morning of April 15, 2014, around 8:30 a.m., Tina Bowland's lifeless body was found at the bottom of the stairs in her home in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. It was a typical spring day, with bright sunshine and birds chirping outside. Lisa De Angelis, Tina's close friend and neighbor, made the grim discovery after her texts and calls to Tina the previous night went unanswered. Lisa and Tina shared a close friendship, frequently meeting at the local Panera Bread for coffee and to catch up. When Lisa arrived at Tina's house that morning, she noticed the front door was slightly open. Concerned, she called out Tina's name as she entered, but there was no reply. As Lisa ventured further into the house, her anxiety grew. The home was unsettlingly quiet, with only the faint sound of the TV playing in the background. When she reached the staircase, she was confronted with a sight that would haunt her for the rest of her life. Tina lay at the bottom of the stairs, her body twisted in a disturbing position. She wore a light blue nightgown, and her hair was stained with blood from a cut on her lip. Lisa stood frozen in shock, struggling to process the scene before her. After a few moments, Lisa snapped out of her daze and urgently dialed 911. Her voice shook as she described the scene to the operator. The 911 operator remained composed, instructing Lisa to stay on the line until help arrived. Lisa struggled to maintain her composure as she paced back and forth, her eyes fixed on Tina's unmoving body. Within minutes, the wail of sirens filled the air as emergency responders arrived. Lisa, visibly shaken, watched as paramedics hurried into the house. She stepped aside to let the paramedics work, her hands trembling as she watched them assess Tina's condition. Despite their efforts, it was evident that Tina was beyond help. The paramedics confirmed Tina's death, and Lisa sank into a chair, tears streaming down her face. The tragedy of Tina Bowland's death was only beginning to unravel, leaving the community in shock and desperate for answers. The Rio Rancho Police Department arrived at Tina's home around 8:45 a.m. On April 15, 2014, just minutes after Lisa had called 911. The first officers to arrive were Detective Martina Lopez, a seasoned investigator known for her keen instincts, and Officer James Carson, a young patrolman with 2 years of experience. Upon entering the house, they were confronted with the disturbing sight of Tina's body at the bottom of the stairs. Detective Lopez swiftly took command, directing Officer Carson to secure the scene and ensure that no one else entered the home. The staircase where Tina was found was carpeted, with beige walls that showed no signs of a struggle. Tina's body lay twisted, her head turned at an odd angle. A small pool of blood had collected beneath her head, but the scene appeared relatively tidy, with no clear evidence of a violent struggle. Detective Lopez carefully examined the area around Tina's body. The staircase was steep, with solid and well-maintained wooden railings. Lopez observed that Tina was barefoot and noted the absence of any objects that might have caused her to trip. Tina's nightgown was slightly torn at the hem, but there were no visible signs of a struggle. As Detective Lopez continued her inspection, she noticed some details that seemed out of place. Tina's phone was found halfway down the stairs, its screen cracked as if it had been dropped during the fall. However, something seemed unusual about the position of Tina's body. The angle at which she had landed did not align with the typical pattern of an accidental fall, raising immediate concerns for Detective Lopez. The paramedics, having confirmed Tina's death, stepped back to allow the police to proceed with their investigation. Detective Lopez ordered a complete forensic sweep of the house to ensure that every potential piece of evidence was gathered. The team used luminol to detect any hidden traces of blood and dusted fingerprint powder on the stair railings and nearby surfaces. As Lopez surveyed the scene, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Tina's death than initially apparent. Her instincts suggested that the incident might not be the tragic accident it seemed. The absence of defensive wounds, the unusual position of the body, and the unsettling quiet of the house all pointed to the possibility of something more sinister. With this suspicion in mind, the investigation focused on those closest to Tina, starting with her husband and friends. Lisa De Angelis, 39, was the first person the police interviewed. Known in the neighborhood for her nurturing and caring nature, Lisa had a reputation for being a devoted friend, particularly to Tina Bowland. Lisa and Tina were frequently seen together at local spots like Panera Bread, and their children played together often. However, as the police investigated further, they discovered that Lisa and Tina's relationship extended beyond mere friendship. During her initial interrogation, Lisa seemed distressed but was cooperative. Detective Martina Lopez, leading the investigation, observed Lisa's nervousness. Lisa fidgeted constantly, her hands shaking as she responded to questions. Initially, she described her friendship with Tina in standard terms, mentioning their shared activities and the closeness they had developed over the years. As the questioning progressed, it became apparent that their relationship was more complex than initially revealed. Under pressure, Lisa confessed that she and Tina had been involved in a secret sexual relationship for several months. This revelation shocked the detectives. Lisa described the relationship as passionate but complicated. Tina had confided in her about being unhappy in her marriage and finding comfort and excitement in their affair, saying that Lisa made her feel like a Disney princess. However, Lisa noted that recently their relationship had begun to deteriorate. Lisa explained that Tina had started to distance herself, becoming increasingly remote. Tina had met a new neighbor, Hope Johnson, and quickly developed a sexual relationship with her. Lisa admitted feeling jealous and hurt, leading to several arguments between her and Tina. Tensions escalated when Lisa discovered Tina and Hope having sex in her daughter's bed. Just days before Tina's death, Lisa had confronted her, stating that she could not continue their relationship if Tina was seeing someone else. The police found Lisa's admission intriguing. Jealousy was a strong motive, and Lisa's emotional state raised suspicions. When directly asked about her involvement in Tina's death, Lisa firmly denied any wrongdoing. She acknowledged that their argument had been intense but maintained that it was not violent. Lisa claimed she left Tina's house upset that evening, never expecting it would be the last time she saw her friend alive. Lisa's interrogation raised more questions than answers. Her evident jealousy and close connection to Tina put her under intense scrutiny. However, without concrete evidence, the detectives could not proceed with an arrest. The investigation needed to continue, with detectives examining others in Tina's life who might have had a motive to harm her. Hope Johnson, 45, was the second person the police interviewed. Hope had recently relocated to Rio Rancho from Atlanta, Georgia, only 6 months before Tina Bowland's death. On the surface, Hope seemed like a polished and professional individual. As a real estate agent with a reputation for sharp business acumen and a poised demeanor, her arrival in the neighborhood had generated some buzz. Local moms were particularly curious about the new resident. Hope's relationship with Tina developed rapidly. Neighbors observed that the two women were frequently together, sharing private moments at local spots like the Starbucks on Southern Boulevard. They often exchanged texts, and there were rumors that their relationship might extend beyond friendship. When Detective Martina Lopez questioned Hope, she appeared calm and composed, but there was an underlying tension that the detective noticed. Hope initially minimized her relationship with Tina, calling it a friendly connection based on shared interests and neighborhood activities. However, when pressed further, Hope admitted that their relationship had become intimate. Hope described Tina as charming and enjoyable to be around, but also very persistent. She revealed that Tina had made the first move by sending her explicit pictures and suggesting they take their friendship to a place beyond your wildest dreams. Initially, Hope hesitated due to Tina's marriage, but she eventually succumbed to the thrill of their secret affair. Despite their close bond, Hope maintained that she had no reason to harm Tina. She disclosed that Tina had recently started expressing deeper feelings for her and even hinted at leaving her husband, Michael, to be with Hope. This level of commitment, however, made Hope uncomfortable. Having just settled into the neighborhood and dealing with her own marital issues, Hope was eager to avoid any scandal. Her calm demeanor started to falter when detectives questioned her about the night of Tina's death. Hope claimed she was at home with her husband that night, but something in her voice made the detectives question her story. Text messages from Tina's phone revealed that Hope and Tina had been communicating late into the evening, with some messages indicating tension between them. Additionally, videos of their intimate encounters, which Hope had shared with other soccer moms, further complicated her account. Although Hope denied any involvement in Tina's death, her connection to the victim and the underlying jealousy she had made her a key suspect. The police needed more evidence to either confirm or clear her of suspicion. The third person the police turned their attention to was Michael Bowland, 46. As Tina Bowland's husband, Michael was naturally a person of interest. He worked as an insurance agent, a job that often kept him busy and away from home. Neighbors described him as quiet and somewhat distant, seldom attending community events or social gatherings. Michael seemed to prefer spending time away from home, and it was well known that his relationship with Tina had been strained for years. During his interview with Detective Martina Lopez and her team, he appeared stoic and detached, a sharp contrast to the emotional turmoil surrounding Tina's death. Michael admitted that his marriage to Tina had been troubled for some time. They had grown distant, with Michael increasingly spending time on business trips or avoiding being home. During the interview, he said, "I needed to get away from that awful woman," his bitterness raising red flags for the detectives. Michael claimed he was unaware of Tina's secret sexual relationships with other women. He insisted he had no knowledge of her affair with Lisa De Angelis and was shocked to hear about her involvement with Hope Johnson. However, the detectives questioned whether his ignorance was genuine or if he was concealing something. Michael told the police that on the night of Tina's death, he was out of town on a business trip in Los Angeles. He provided the names of colleagues who could confirm his whereabouts, and at first glance his alibi appeared solid. Despite his solid alibi, Michael's demeanor unsettled the detectives. He was unusually calm and composed, with a noticeable lack of visible grief, which aroused their suspicion. Further investigation into Michael's potential motive uncovered that he had much to lose if his marriage to Tina ended in divorce. Tina had inherited a substantial sum from her parents, and a divorce would likely mean Michael losing access to that wealth. Additionally, rumors surfaced that Michael had been seeing other women and even some men during his frequent business trips, complicating the case further. Despite his strong alibi, Michael remained under scrutiny by the police. Michael's strained relationship with Tina, his financial concerns, and potential infidelity suggested a possible motive. The detectives realized they needed to investigate Michael's life and alibi more thoroughly before they could clear him as a suspect. On April 18, 2014, 3 days after Tina Bowland's death, a significant breakthrough occurred with the discovery of new evidence. On a cool, overcast morning in Rio Rancho, Detective Martina Lopez was reviewing the case files when she received a call from the forensic team. They had found something unusual in Tina's home, a small but significant detail that had initially been overlooked. The new evidence was a scuffed mark on the wall near the bottom of the stairs where Tina had been discovered. The mark was faint but indicated that something or someone had made contact with the wall during the fall. Forensic experts used advanced techniques, including 3D imaging, to analyze it. They determined that the mark was consistent with the sole of a shoe, suggesting that Tina might have been pushed or tripped rather than falling accidentally. This discovery marked a turning point in the investigation. The scuffed mark suggested foul play, prompting Detective Lopez to revisit the crime scene with a new perspective. Additionally, the forensic team found traces of skin cells under Tina's fingernails, which were sent to the lab for DNA analysis. The messages, along with the new physical evidence, suggested a possible confrontation. As the investigation advanced, Detective Lopez felt they were getting closer to uncovering the truth. The new evidence provided the team with a clearer understanding of what might have occurred that night. Tina's death was increasingly appearing to be the result of a heated altercation rather than a tragic accident. The police were determined to identify the responsible party, recognizing that the scuff mark on the wall and the DNA under Tina's nails might be crucial to solving the case. On April 20, 2014, the investigation took a decisive turn. The DNA analysis of the skin cells found under Tina's fingernails matched Lisa De Angelis. This discovery, along with the scuff mark on the wall near the stairs, led Detective Martina Lopez to conclude that Tina's death was a homicide, not an accident. Lisa De Angelis, 39, was a stay-at-home mom known for her nurturing personality. Beneath her calm exterior, however, she struggled with deep insecurities and fears about losing those she loved, with Tina Bowland being central to these anxieties. Their sexual relationship had been the most passionate of their lives, but was also marked by jealousy and tension. When Tina began seeing their new neighbor, Hope Johnson, Lisa felt threatened and betrayed. On the night of April 15, 2014, Lisa and Tina had a heated argument at Tina's home after Lisa discovered Hope and Tina having sex. The argument quickly escalated, with emotions running high. In a fit of jealousy and desperation, Lisa pushed Tina. The push caused Tina to lose her balance and fall down the stairs, hitting her head on the way down. The scuff mark on the wall was caused by Tina's shoe as she tried to regain her balance. The detectives determined that Tina had fought back, scratching Lisa in the process, which explained the skin cells under Tina's nails. Panicked after realizing what had happened, Lisa reacted in a state of fear and confusion. Lisa left the scene, hoping the fall would be deemed an accident. However, the physical evidence contradicted her hopes. On the morning of April 21, 2014, the police, led by Detective Lopez and a team of officers, arrived at Lisa's home to arrest her. Lisa was visibly shaken when the police informed her that she was under arrest for Tina Bowland's murder. She didn't resist but seemed in shock, as if the gravity of her actions had only just sunk in. As she was led away in handcuffs, Lisa muttered that she never intended to hurt Tina. Lisa's arrest sent shockwaves through the neighborhood. Tina's family, particularly her husband Michael, was devastated by the news. They had lost a wife and mother, and now had to confront the reality that her death stemmed from a senseless act of jealousy. Michael, cleared of any wrongdoing, was in disbelief that someone so close to Tina could commit such a terrible act. The trial of Lisa De Angelis for Tina Bowland's murder began in late October 2014 at the Sandoval County Courthouse. The case attracted significant media attention, with local news outlets such as KRQE and the Albuquerque Journal covering each development. The courtroom was filled with spectators, including many of Tina's friends and family members, all eager for justice. The prosecution was led by Assistant District Attorney James Wallace, a 45-year-old seasoned prosecutor known for his tenacity in the courtroom. Wallace argued that Lisa De Angelis had acted out of intense jealousy, leading her to push Tina down the stairs during a heated argument. He presented physical evidence, including the scuff mark on the wall and the DNA analysis of the skin cells under Tina's fingernails. Wallace emphasized that Tina's death was not an accident, but the result of a deliberate act of violence. The defense was led by Public Defender Karen Michalowski, a 38-year-old attorney known for her compassionate approach. Michalowski argued that Lisa's actions were not premeditated and that the push was an emotional outburst rather than an intent to kill. She portrayed Lisa as a woman deeply in love with Tina, who lost control in a moment of overwhelming emotion. Michalowski urged the jury to consider Lisa's remorse and her lack of a prior history of violence. Throughout the trial, Tina's family endured a mix of grief and anger. Michael Bowland, Tina's husband, struggled to hold back tears as he heard the details of his wife's final moments. The impact of Tina's death on her family was evident, and their presence in the courtroom underscored the human cost of the crime. After several days of testimony and evidence presentation, the jury deliberated for only a few hours before returning with a verdict. On November 3, 2014, Lisa De Angelis was found guilty of second-degree murder. The judge sentenced Lisa De Angelis to 20 years in prison, a decision some in the courtroom felt was too lenient given the circumstances. The verdict provided Tina's family with some closure, but the pain of losing her remained. For Lisa, the sentence marked the start of a long journey of reflection and regret. The trial and its outcome had a profound impact on the Rio Rancho community, serving as a stark reminder of how swiftly love can turn to tragedy. Life in Rio Rancho gradually returned to normal, but the community was forever altered by Tina Bowland's death. Tina's family faced a complex mix of sorrow and adjustment as they tried to move forward. Michael Bowland, now a single parent, dedicated himself to rebuilding his life and caring for his children. He continued working as an insurance agent, though his previously reserved demeanor became even more subdued. Michael sought solace in his work and in spending time with his children, who were also grappling with the loss of their mother. Lisa De Angelis, convicted of second-degree murder, began serving her 20-year sentence at the New Mexico Women's Correctional Facility. Her life in prison was characterized by isolation and deep reflection. The once active community member now faced a monotonous daily routine behind bars, far removed from her previous life. Lisa's trial and conviction received widespread coverage from local news outlets like KRQE, and her case became a cautionary tale about the severe consequences of unchecked jealousy and emotional turmoil. For Hope Johnson, who had been a suspect in the case, life continued with a blend of relief and ongoing anxiety. She relocated from Rio Rancho shortly after the trial concluded, seeking a fresh start in a new city. Hope Johnson's reputation in the neighborhood had been marred despite her being cleared of any wrongdoing. Feeling that it was best to distance herself from the memories of the past year, she moved away. The impact of Tina Bowland's death and Lisa De Angelis' trial resonated beyond the immediate circle of those involved, serving as a stark reminder of how personal relationships and emotional conflicts can escalate into devastating consequences. The case underscored the critical need to address and manage emotional issues before they spiral out of control. It left a lasting impact on the community, serving as a poignant reminder of the profound consequences that unchecked emotions and unresolved conflicts can have on people's lives.